It looks like things got a little easier for Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs. Unfortunately, it's pertaining to an injury because, in case you missed it a few days ago, star defensive lineman for Notre Dame, Riley Mills, is done for the year after an injury that he suffered against Indiana. So if you're a Georgia fan still kind of figuring out this Notre Dame team, who their best players are, I'll let you know right now. One of them is not going to be playing in the Sugar Bowl. Again, he was a senior captain, 6'5", 295. He led Notre Dame in sacks this year, 7.5 sacks, 37 tackles. And again, he was a captain. Now, I got to get this off my chest. I've got a little beef with Notre Dame because I was watching them against Indiana, like you all were too, and they got like 20 guys with a C on their jersey. That's ridiculous. You can't have so many captains, right? You get 3 captains. That's it. Pick your 3 guys. You can have 20 leaders. You can't have 20 captains. And it felt like there were too many guys rocking that C on their jersey, but this guy is one of them, and he is a big deal. He is a game changer type. So unfortunately, he is down with an injury. He's not going to play, but I mean, the reality is that this does make things a little easier for a Georgia offensive line that is finally kind of coming together a little bit. They're starting to run the ball a little better, I think, from the Tennessee game on, especially when they inserted Monroe Freeling there at left tackle. They've started to play better as a group, and it's a group that's been banged up a lot this year. Tate Radlich has been banged up. Ernest Green has been banged up. Center Jared Wilson was banged up a little this year. So that group has gone through a ton of injuries. It feels like they're getting back together. And, you know, we've said all week this was going to be a big challenge for the Georgia offensive line, establishing a running game that's going to be so important in this game against the Notre Dame front seven that is really tough to run on. But now, again, due to injury, unfortunately, Riley Mills, their best defensive lineman and arguably their best defender and one of the best players on their team, he's going to be out. So that, you know, hurts them in more ways than one. But they've still got some really talented defensive linemen. So we're going to talk about this, you know, in depth a little bit. I'm going to talk about Georgia's offensive line, mainly what they need to do and what Georgia's offensive line is going to look like next year as well. So just breaking that whole front up right now because it's important for them the rest of the way. That's a veteran-led, experienced group, and it's going to look a lot different next year. So let's briefly break that down. But real quick, it's Christmas. You're watching this right now. It is Christmas Day. So hope every one of you are having a great day with your families. If you've had to get away a little bit to get your Georgia fix in, that's what this video is for you. But as we've been talking about, this is going to be a real challenge for a Georgia offensive line that is capable and talented enough to get the job done. At left tackle, like I said earlier, Monroe Freeling has really given that group a jolt. He was the former 5-star, played some at right tackle a little bit last year, but took over Ernest Green, who was kind of having an up and down year. He's been battling injuries too, but when they put Monroe Freeling at left tackle, because of his mobility, his ability to kind of move, especially in pass protection with his length, and his lean frame, he moves really well. They just seem to be clicking a little bit better. You've got Dylan Fairchild at left guard. I think he should be picked within the first 3 or 4 rounds of the draft. So he's going to be gone next year. You do have Monroe Freeling coming back, but at center, Jared Wilson, I believe, is a senior. I guess he still has an extra year of eligibility. I'm not really sure, but I'm not ruling it out. But I do think this is his last year. I think he could be a pretty successful center at the next level. Tate Radlich at right guard. Obviously, he's a senior. He wants to end, you know, his career on a high note. He doesn't want to lose to the Irish like that. He knows what this game means. And then Xavier Truss has been in Athens since Nam, I think. Anyway, that's a joke, obviously, but this has got to be year like 6 for him. So he's moving on. So they're replacing a lot. And I do think that, you know, this group is going to have to block in a different way. They've got a different quarterback behind them. The running backs are getting healthier. That's going to help them a decent bit. But they've opened some running lanes for that group over the last several weeks. So they're starting to run the ball better. But now you've got a mobile quarterback behind them. And so they've got to block a little different. But, you know, if you're Mike Bobo, you want to make things comfortable for Gunnar Stockton, but you want to make them comfortable for the offensive line as well. So they know they've got more of a mobile runner behind him. But, and I'm not going to talk about different concepts on the offensive line, but, you know, there's going to be a lot of the zone read, a lot of the RPOs, and a lot of different ways that they're going to run their offense. Right now, they play in space a lot with those bubble and tunnel screens. I'm not sure if we're going to see as many of those. So it's gonna be different, and they're gonna have to game plan something that, this group of offensive linemen that's been playing together year after year after year, right? This is a cohesive group that's played together for a while. They're gonna have to switch up how they do things and how they attack. But again, it's a little easier when they don't have a guy like Riley Mills just wreaking havoc right in the middle of everything, right? I mean, that was a space-eating guy who can get after the quarterback from the inside, and that is a quarterback's worst nightmare. So if you're Gunnar Stockton, you know that their best defensive lineman, their best pass rusher, especially from the inside, is out. So that makes things a little easier. And if you're Mike Bobo, you have more of a chance to attack the middle with the run game and with Gunnar Stockton, back there running the football. So it was already going to be tough to run on this team, especially inside. I mean, everything Indiana was able to get on the ground seemed like they kind of had to stretch it out, get to the perimeter. And that's not going to be easy either. These linebackers and those safeties, those defensive backs, they look real instinctive against the run. So, Georgia still needs to game plan something to where it's easier for Gunnar and the running backs, but a lot of down blocking, a lot of, pulling action there, getting Dylan Fairchild and Micah Morris and even Tate Ratledge out in space to find linebackers. So, this is up to that group. They've got a massive challenge on their hands, but they play hard, they play together, and I think they're going to be up for the challenge, especially with Notre Dame's best defensive lineman out. I mean, I don't want to harp on it too much, but again, this is a really big deal, and it does make things a little easier for Georgia's offense. And again, unfortunately, you never want to see injuries, but in a game like this, when this is going to be a smash mouth type of game, whoever is able to run the ball, right, and have a consistent running a game to work the clock, make things easier for their quarterback, I think is going to win the game. And if you're Georgia's offensive line, you know that their best defender is out, so you can attack them a little easier, especially in the middle. But this group, it could be their last game playing together, and they're going to be returning just one starter next year in Monroe Freeling, right? I do think Dylan Fairchild is going to be in the draft and get selected. Jared Wilson, Tate Ratledge could be the first player on Georgia's offense coming off the board. And then Xavier Truss, I think, will get drafted too. He's kind of had an up and down year as well. So next year, things are going to look a lot different. Now, they do have some guys returning. Ernest Green returning along with Monroe Freeling. Those could be your tackles. Drew Bobo has played a lot at the center position. Micah Morris came in that 21 class, so this is his fourth year, but I do think he'll be able to come back. I think he's got an extra year of eligibility, and I think he'll be one of those starters at guard. So you're replacing a lot of starters, 4 out of 5 actually, but you still have guys coming back with starting experience. So I do think that's really important. But as far as new guys to keep an eye on, Daniel Calhoun, I think, has been helping a lot with the twos. He has transformed his body a little heavy when he got to Athens, but I think he's been working hard to be the best player he could be. He's a guy I think could be a multi-year starter. I think he could be a dominant guard if he keeps developing properly. Marquise Easley was a kid from Illinois, middle of the road, 4-star athletic kid, again, 300 plus pounds. And that's what you're always going to see. These are big guys, heavy guys coming in, and they want to be able to maul you, and they want to be able to run the football. And with a guy like Gunnar Stockton, you want to play kind of that ground and pound offense when you need to, especially in short yardage situations. And they've got a lot of beef up front. Again, multiple guys, basically their entire offensive line, consistently every year is 310 pounds plus, even at center. Michael Uini is a kid from Texas, who's got a lot of promise too. Long, big old kid. Nair Daniels was from New Jersey, just a massive dude. He's got to keep taking weight off. We'll see if he continues to develop behind the scenes and kind of transform his body. I think he's someone who might be able to sniff some playing time next year, but it's up to him. Jazair Jackson, the former basketball star, played with Bronny James, 6'8", like 340. So he's got the frame, just needs to work on playing football and work on the fundamentals and the technique, but he absolutely has the size and a promising frame that could allow him to see the field next year. Marcus Harrison was a 3-star sleeper signee from that 24 class from New York that they love. He's just a big, mean kid that I think Georgia fans still don't really know who he is. His recruitment kind of flew under the radar, but he's a guy, it wouldn't surprise me if he continued to step up and surprise some people, especially because of where he was ranked high school. You've got Malachi Tolliver, I think could be the center after Drew Bobo next year. He's kind of waiting in the wings. So there's a lot of big, talented kids waiting their turn. But right now, it's up to Georgia's front five, which I guess you could say has been the healthiest they've been all year. They are able to attack a defensive front from Notre Dame that it's going to be missing their best players. So Georgia does have, it looks like things could be a little easier for them, especially that offensive line as we inch closer and closer to the Sugar Bowl. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you over on the website.